up is Secretary of State, and like we did for the first couple of races, we're going to go from the outside in. So our first candidate is Mr. Mike Francis.
Mike Francis, I'm running for Secretary of State, and my promise is to apply proven business principles and leadership like we do at the Public Service Commission today. I was born and raised up in Gina on LaSalle Parish. I live in Crowder right now with my wife Gina. When I was 30 years old, I started a business, one truck, one driver. The truck was mine and I was the driver. The oil field has been a great place for my life. I really live the American dream. I'd like to see it for my kids and your kids and grandkids. When I sold my business, we were doing over 100 million a year. I had 218 wizards working in every oil producing state in America. We had almost 500 employees. We used good people, hard work, and a lot of practice. And today, that's the same principles that I use. I'm elected to the Public Service Commission right now. I'm serving in my second term. I served 6 years. My first 6 years, elected at the same time that Bill Clinton was elected. And served 2 years as vice chairman and 2 years as chairman. Had a lot of great help and a lot of tutelage. Jay Boston, one of them here today, he was one of my mentors. Thank you, Jay, for all the help you did to me. Last November, I was reelected to another term in 6 years. I have 17 parishes, a million people in my district. I got 60% of the vote, folks. That tells a lot of folks what kind of believer I am. If you'll give me a chance to take care of the Secretary of State's office, I'll assure you your vote will be safe and honest. We're going to lock those guys up that try to steal our vote. And I'm going to apply the same principles that I've applied in my successive businesses. Finally, in closing, I followed in the footsteps of Billy Nungesser, Daddy, as a chairman of the Republican Party for 6 years. We had like 300,000 members then. Now we have over 1 million. I'm proud to say I know I helped start that revolution. I was there when Mike Foster was elected governor, Tom Casanova was senator, and so many others. I have proven that I can lead politically, in business, and in the politics too. Just ask you to vote for Mike Francis. Remember 3 words. I like Mike.
Question number 3. How would you respond to reports by poll watchers of voting irregularities on an election day?
I would say, I'm going to take up for the clerks and the registrar voters, and I'm going to say, this is Louisiana, this is not Georgia, this is not Arizona, this is Louisiana. The people who rate all the elections across America, some of the wisest people, I think it's called the Heritage Foundation, is one we count on for a lot of good opinions. They say that Louisiana has one of the best election systems in America. I'm going to go up there. Where's that? Somebody want to debate that? Is that part of the rules? I'm going to say, Louisiana is like number 4 or 5 in the nation in the integrity and the voting. And I trust our clerks and our registrars in what they have said. They all want to work together to be number 1. I'll be there to help them lead the way.
Our next candidate for Secretary of State is Thomas Kennedy.
2 minutes, so I have to keep this short. Thomas Kennedy, running for Secretary of State, and I'm here today to ask you for your support. Also, to give you some picture of who I am and what makes me qualified for history. That's all right. I have been in real estate development, commercial general contractor, and as president of ASI Corporation and ASI West, which I'm still a partner of, which is a West Coast engineering firm. I have a lot of experience in running large projects, managing employees, and doing what I need. But that's not really, my work history speaks for itself, and I'm proud of my accomplishments. But what I'm most proud of is my service to others. This is the core of who I am. I have served as a pilot for the Air Lifeline, flying sick patients to medical appointments. I'm a young Eagles pilot for the Experimental Aircraft Association, where I fly children, 8 to 18, and give them their first experience in aviation. I'm also a first lieutenant in the Louisiana Wing Billy Mitchell Squadron of the Civil Air Patrol. And lastly, I'm a Boy Scout leader. I'm the committee chair for 2 Boy Scout troops. One is 150 boys and 150 girls out of Lakewood Presbyterian Church. So I have extensive history in managing organizations with the focus on service. Now I want to offer my service to the people of Louisiana. Many Americans in Louisiana have lost faith in our election process. However, I will assure you that if I am the Louisiana Secretary of State, the elections will remain secure and safe under my guidance.
Okay. Question number 4 is, are you aware of any factual evidence or proven irregularities or voter fraud in Louisiana elections? If so, can you provide such information?
I would say there is no voter fraud in our elections. It's extremely secure in Louisiana. However, since I live in Orleans Parish, we know we have an issue with the registered voters office there and having dead people and people that have moved to Texas for decades or more still with voter rolls. And in New Orleans, there's a very unique opportunity for the registry to get this clean. Here we have the Office of Vital Records is in the same building, City Hall. You think it would be simple just to walk down the hall and say, give me a list of every death certificate that was issued in the state of Louisiana last year. I mean, for the last month, or the last year. Go back and purge those voter rolls. And I would think that we probably have other problems in large parishes, possibly Baton Rouge, and possibly Shreveport. And I think we need to go back and figure out what's went wrong and find solutions to be able to get the voter rolls clean.
Next up, for Secretary of State, Nancy Landon.
I was born in Japan on a naval base. I grew up in Lafayette. I graduated from LSU and LSU Law School, and I served 3 terms in the legislature as a state representative representing Lafayette and Vermilion parishes. And at the end of my 3rd term, Secretary Ordway appointed me as the first Assistant Secretary of State, which is the second in command at the Department of State. So I've been conducting and administering elections for the past 4 years, and I'm the only candidate in the race who actually has experience conducting and administering elections. I'm running for Secretary of State because I want us to be #1 in election integrity in the country. We're not often at the top of good lists in Louisiana, but we have a lot to be proud of when it comes to election integrity. We're ranked number 6 in the nation by the Heritage Foundation and number 1 in the South by the Electoral Integrity Project for election integrity. But I think we can do even better. I want to bring us to #1, and I have a plan to do that. My #1 priority as Secretary of State will be to get us a new voting system. Our current voting system is 30 years old, and it really needs to be replaced. And the system that I would like to see it replaced with is the efficiency and accuracy that we're used to with technology and getting the results on election night like we're used to, but one that also has a paper backup, a way that the voter can verify the accuracy of their vote, and the paper backup can then be used to conduct a post-election audit. The main thing that I want to leave you with today is that the 2024 presidential election is right around the corner, and we just can't afford to have a Secretary of State who needs on-the-job training. I'll be prepared to launch right into the 2024 presidential election. I'll be ready for the presidential preference primary, which is just 2 months after the new secretary takes office. I have a proven voting record from my time in the legislature, a solid conservative voting record, and I'm the right person for the job, so I'm asking for your support. Thank you.
Okay. Do you support lifetime appointments for parish registrars of voters? Would you support required periodic review of job qualifications for these officers and an option to replace them if they do not meet hiring standards.
I absolutely support some sort of reform in the way that we hire and evaluate registrars, because they are appointed for life by the local governing authority now, and there are very few reasons that you can remove them. It's difficult, and the State Board of Election Supervisors makes that decision. But we do need to have registrars with more experience with technology. They need to be have some credentials, and I would like the Secretary of State's office to be involved in the choosing of the registrars, that we would at least be able to nominate the candidates who would be chosen. We don't have any role in it at all now, and I think that we need to have some role in it and some role in being able to remove them for incompetence if there are. Most of them do a great job, and they're wonderful, and they keep our voter rolls clean. But there are some that we have a few problems with, and we could use a little bit of reform in that area.
Next up for Secretary of State, Clay Chestnut.
Good afternoon. Thank y'all for having me here. I'm Clay Chestnut. I was born and raised in Gonzales, just across the lake here. I can tell you I'm a proud father of 4, married a family for 23 years. I have 8 grandchildren and 1 on the way. That being said, I own a small business. I've been in the legislature for now going on my 12th year. I was elected 3 times as a Republican and Speaker of the House, also Chairman of Agriculture. Looking forward to where we're going with the Secretary of State's office. I will tell you this, we do have a good Secretary of State's office. But the lifeblood of that Secretary of State's office is our clerks back home and people local on the ground doing these things. The one problem that we have right now back home is getting commissioners and poll watchers to be able to come to the polls and be able to work. My first commitment is being able to help get a program that we can get some local people to come in and be supportive of doing these things to help our elections be safe and prosperous moving forward. The second thing is making sure that our GoBiz site is up to date and moving properly. That is very important to us as small business owners and as a state in being able to move business forward. We have to make sure that that stays up to date. And the other is our archives. Our Secretary of State's office is one that protects these archives and does the right thing. We are still using microfiche technology in there. We are losing money in those areas where departments are having to store records in warehouses. Our taxpayers dollars are paying for these warehouses stored. I will make a promise to keep our elections safe, keep those things up, save money, and move forward as a good Secretary of State. Thank you, and God bless you.
Okay, number 2 is, there are at least 8 location options to register to vote in Louisiana. What are the positives and negatives of this system?
Well, I think with the positives is it gives people to come to be able to register to vote, to be a local place, a closer place to be able to get there. The negative side is, should we have more or should we have less of them? I would say to be able to get people out there to be able to vote, let's make it convenient. Let's be able to get out there and get those voters to be able to register. Let's give them that opportunity. If we can do that, I think it makes us a better state to have people participate in voting. We need to have voters out there that want to come and actually vote. Right now, participation rate is very low, and we can make it better. So, thanks.
Those of you sitting at the dais, notice that there are green and red cards that say yes and no. We're about to show you why. I'm so jacked up about the lightning round that I'm Our last candidate for Secretary of State is Brandon Trostclair.
I appreciate it. Like Clay, I'm also from Gonzales, Louisiana, not far down the road from here. Born and raised there. I've always been involved in my local community. on our local RPEC. I'm also on the State Central Committee. I'm on the board for the Louisiana Family Forum, as well as the Government Affairs Committee for the Louisiana Retailers Association. I'm a business owner with grocery stores all across South Louisiana, one of the top 50 largest companies in the Baton Rouge metropolitan area. And when President Biden came after your businesses and your employees' jobs, I was the one person that stood up against Joe Biden and against his massive government overreach in the employer vaccine mandate. I was the first person to file a federal lawsuit against Joe Biden in the Fifth Circuit. We fought ourselves all the way to the United States Supreme Court. We won that case, and it's estimated that we saved over 80 million jobs across the United States. It was an honor of a lifetime to stand up for my businesses, my employees, and the people of the United States of America. I do not believe that we have safe and honest elections here in Louisiana. I think we have awful elections here in Louisiana. I'm going to tell you why I think we have awful elections, and I'm going to use the same data that our elected officials in our State Department gives you. They refer to the Heritage Foundation all the time that we have the 6th best elections in the country. But what they don't tell you is that our overall score on that survey is a 75, which is unacceptable to me. That same survey says we have an F in the accuracy of our voter rolls. An F in the accuracy of our voter rolls. The same survey says that we have an F in the proof of citizenship. According to the Louisiana Legislative Audit Report on page 5, we don't audit our elections, nor do we even have the ability to audit our elections. In fact, we're the only state in the country that you can't audit our elections. Now, how can we have anywhere close to the best elections to do that? So, I'm running out of time. We're going to implement hand-marked secure paper ballots. We're going to give you a certified election within minutes of the polls closing. We're going to clean up our registration. We're going to keep them clean. And for the first time in many, many, many decades, you're going to be able to audit your own elections.
One question that you got is, describe your preferred method for voting in Louisiana.
Yeah, I sure did describe. So we're going to get rid of these faulty, outdated technology, these voting machines. We're going to go to a hand-marked secure paper ballot. And I'm also a proponent of a hand counted by the local people in the local precinct. And again, we're going to give you a certified election within minutes of the polls closing. Go to letsgobrandon.net, and of course that's a good Cajun way. We have videos in there showing that whole process and how simple, easy, and accurate that it is. And for the first time, and like I said, in many, many decades, the people of Louisiana will be able to audit their elections. And I say it all across Louisiana as I'm traveling, that it's about time that the people of Louisiana have elections as good as the people of Louisiana. Thank y'all very much.
Start with candidates for treasurer. I've got a couple of yes or no questions. So guys, get your cards ready.
Scott, we're going to start on this side.
But you want to start on
Yeah.
okay, we'll start on the other side. Yes. Yes. Although I will give you guys a one-sentence explanation, but don't go over this. Okay, for Secretary of State, number 1, do you support closed primaries? Yeses, 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 yeses. Everybody supports closed primaries. We'll pass the mic, guys. What do you think? Mike.
Mike, you can say something. You can say why.
One sentence. Yeah. Well, very quick.
Closed primaries?
Closed primaries.
If you look at the way the Republican Party has grown over the years, the open primaries favored us when we were small. Now that we're so large, look at the number of Republicans here running. We need a closed primary where the Republican people will choose one of these that's in this table to run against the Democrat.
Oh, I didn't realize I was, yeah, I would definitely agree with Mike. Is we need to have an election to push Republicans and Democrats.
I like a closed primary, but the legislature makes that decision, and as Secretary of State, I'll implement whatever laws the legislature enacts in a way to conduct elections. Senator Hewitt had a bill, I think, last session to have closed primaries, and it didn't pass pass all the way through the system, but as Secretary of State, I would implement whatever laws the legislature passed, but it's the purview of the legislature to decide that, but I do support it.
Yes, and I support it as well. I know Senator Hewitt had a bill on it. It didn't quite make it through the process. If it would have been able to make it through the process, we'd have been able to have it, and I would have supported it as well, so.
Yeah, really not a whole lot more to add to it, but I think we should put our best candidate forward in the Republican Party to challenge the Democrats, and so I'm for closed primaries.
Okay. These are pure yes, no questions. So, do you believe there is significant voter fraud in Louisiana elections, yes or no?
It's 2 cents.
No, we're just gonna do yes or no. All right, do you believe there should be poll watchers during early voting? Okay. Do you pledge to work with the legislature to draft appropriate legislation to reduce elections, meaning the number of elections during the year? Everybody says yes. Okay. Do you support voting by hand-marked, hand-counted paper ballot? That's Secretary of State. Now we're going to move on to the lightning round. This time we're going to